Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm finally going to be sharing with you guys the knife design that I've been working on for almost a year now. So let's go ahead and let's make this quick. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. I did actually reveal this. It did kind of a soft reveal on a live stream this last Friday. So some of you have already seen it, but many of you have not. Who have I been working with this whole time? It's Kunwu, and many of you probably could have guessed that or did guess that. So the knife that I've been working on, this is the third prototype. And before I open this, I want everybody to understand I am making no promises as far as release dates or anything in this video. We are simply taking a look at the design. It has changed a bunch, but the form that it's in is about 98% complete. So when there are pre-orders open, I will let you guys know. When I know exactly how many variations of this, I will let you guys know. But today we are simply taking a look. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a look at the Metal Complex and Kunwu Excalibur. I am so happy with how this came out. This particular version is an all DLC textured titanium integral, contoured. We have some nice Timascus accents around the pivot collar and of course the pocket clip. But I think probably the highlight is the open position with the Vanax blade. This is of course the DLC polish on this particular one, but we'll also have an option at least for a satin version without the DLC. I am very, very pleased with this, and this, like I said, is about 98% of what it's going to be in the final, production version. I'm going to go over exactly what's going to be changing. But quick specs, I have a lot to say. I know a lot of you are like, man, he drew some major influence from some, really famous models, and I absolutely did. We're going to talk about that. What we have here is 8.5 inches overall. We have a 3.75 inch blade with 3.5 inches of cutting edge. Currently, it's 125 thousandths on the spine, so it's super duper slicey. I'm not 100% sure we're going to keep it exactly that thin, but we'll see. The weight, if I didn't say, is 5.8 ounces on this guy because it is a titanium frame. It does run on bearings and is very, very smooth, very easy to manipulate. Of course, that was a big part of this. People are going to ask, hey, aren't you like a stickler for, left-handed mounting positions for pocket clips? I don't see that on this knife. We are planning to do left-handed versions of this knife specifically, meaning the entire frame lock, the lock side, will actually be set up for left-handed people. Now, I know people want to know, price points. Are you going to make a less expensive version? I'm still aiming for right around $400 on the integral version, but it would be really cool to have a substantially less expensive option that is not an integral. Number one, for people who don't want the integral. Number two, people who don't want to pay $400 for a knife. Again, all of this is coming down the road. I will let you guys know exactly once we have all of that nailed down. These are just things that I would like to do. But at the very least, at the bare minimum, we will do, of course, a DLC and a non-DLC version, and we will definitely do left-handed versions. That's definitely going to happen. I just don't know exactly, how long it's going to be until we can open up the pre-orders. The knife draws inspiration from a number of designs. So I know just by showing it, anytime anybody talks about a new model, they say that looks like the this, or that it looks like a copy of the that. And I did a series a while back. You can still go watch it. It's called The Quest for the Perfect Folding Knife, where I talk about exactly what I would utilize in my ideal pocket knife. I talked about elements from some of my favorite knives. I'm actually going to show you right now exactly which knives I took inspiration from when designing this one. And the original designers of these knives deserve credit 100%. So it's very important that I lay all of these out and talk about them here. Thought I'd have exactly enough room to get everything on camera, but I feel like the Strider's just going to be right there at the bottom. So the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, right? That's kind of Benchmade and Doug Ritter, of course. The Spyderco Shaman, that's Sal Glesser. We have the XM18, that's Rick Hinderer. We have the Umnumzan, which is Chris Reeve. And then we have the Strider. This one's an SMF, but the profile of the SNG or SMF, right, which is Mick Strider. 100% elements from each of these knives were kind of taken and molded, and that's kind of what went into the Excalibur. I want to make this very clear because, like I said in the live stream, my knife, I make no claim that this is an entirely unique design in the sense that nobody has ever thought of these elements before. No. As a knife reviewer, there are very specific things that go into a lot of these knives that I've come to love and obsess over. A lot of these knives really have kind of created the person that I am. And, years ago, I thought, man, if I could have this combined with this or this combined with this. And I feel like a lot of us do this, right? So to each of these knife makers and designers, 100%, your amazing elements on your folding knives inspired me to put together this pocket knife. And I just want to make sure that it's 100% known that I, credit these amazing people in the knife world. Because I would not have been able to do this without these incredible designs that came first. So my design is not perfect. I'm not saying it's the best elements of all the knives and mine's perfect and it's an upgrade to everything. No, it's just kind of become its own thing. But really important for me to, talk about that and point that out there real quick. I wanted a very open ergonomic profile like with the Shaman. This has been carried and used, by the way. This is the one that I've been carrying and using. But I wanted this straight back and still the open ergonomic profile. So we have a really, really comfortable standard grip. We have a super comfortable choked up grip. We also have functional jimping on top of a crowned spine. I wanted to do something a little bit special with the blade. I love fullers. I love the oval shape of the opening hole in the Strider, so I thought let's just continue a soft fuller out and then crown that spine. And I think it ended up working really, really well. Some other elements here, like the general shape of the handle is kind of similar, to the Umnumzan. Not exactly the same, but I really liked how clean and straight that looked. Really liked the height, not too high, not too short, right? I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do back here, but I've decided that just leaving it plain, I think, is the way that I want to go. The texturing is about medium. It's not super aggressive, but it's definitely aggressive enough that it creates meaningful traction. One of the changes that we're going to make, or that I'm going to suggest we make, is a bald spot underneath the pocket clip. And the reason that I feel like it's okay to do that is because we'll have right and left hand specific frame locks, meaning there is no position for the pocket clip to be flipped over on either one. You either get the right-handed one or the left-handed one. So you never have to see that bald spot in the middle of the titanium. It's just underneath the clip. On these, it's not the case right now, but maybe in the future. Another change that I want to make here, if you notice, the stops are actually the thumb studs. Now that's something that I've always enjoyed a lot about, like the Umnumzan and the SNG and the XM18. I've always really enjoyed that. But I've never felt like they were in exactly the right position. We definitely got the thumb studs in the absolute perfect spot to be able to deploy it with the thumb. And at the same time, still be able to utilize that hole there for people who want to use that. It's really, really easy to use, and it's super comfortable, not hard on the thumb at all. And also, the cutting edges in front of the stud. So there's nothing in the cutting path while you're utilizing this. You can really utilize the entire edge. But something that we have not done on this one is actually create little housing spots. So currently the studs are bumping right into the frame. And the stop position is actually also on the frame, similar to how Medford did it with like the Marauder, right? I think I'm going to change this. Number one, up here, we're going to subtly shape this area, kind of like how Hinder has done it up here. I want to have little, I guess, housing for those studs. I think that'll help out with, lock bar wear over time, since it's the combination of the stud impact and the lock bar. And then in the closed position, I don't think I'll actually end up having the studs contact the frame. Rather, we create a stop, like a closed position stop within the integral frame. Maybe we just mill the titanium sort of higher so that the back of the blade contacts it in the stop position. We'll probably figure that out. But the stops will not end up, in an ideal version, they will not end up contacting the frame in the closed position. It works perfectly well like this, but those are just little teeny tiny changes, right? Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, where I was going with that. We still wanted to, of course, keep some Kunwu elements here. I really like the pivot collar, the big wide pivot collar on this side. I think it would be really cool to have a little thin one on this side, but we might not have enough room. So I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm sure people will wonder what my goal was here with the lock side. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite things about Hinder knives is how the lock side looks. A lot of people would say that this is really busy, right? But I've always enjoyed, seeing the lock bar insert and the LBS disc, right? And kind of all these different elements. But it looked, I guess, like industrial, heavy duty. I'm not really sure exactly what it was that drew me to that. But one of the things that always bothered me was the beautiful texturing on one side and no texturing on the other. So having the texturing and the contouring on both sides was a big deal. But we have the LBS disc, which is a lock bar stabilizer and over travel. And then we also have the steel lock bar insert on this, which is another over travel. This is completely and totally overkill. But I always enjoyed that about Hinder knives and the ZT Hinder knives. I always thought that was a really, really cool element. It's not so special anymore, but it's kind of just something that I enjoyed a lot, getting involved in this knife enthusiast world, right? The pocket clip is a typical Kunwu style pocket clip, which I've always loved and works out perfectly with this knife. Very simple, straightforward, milled, right? Basic versions will just be a milled titanium clip. We have a little tiny ramp there, really knocked down at the edges, but most importantly, short. This is a short clip, and that means that in the standard hammer grip or the choked up grip, it is extremely comfortable. There are no hot spots, at least by my standards. I am certain that when this gets into the hands of other people, people will have completely fair criticisms, and that's 100% okay. But this is the way that I like a knife to feel. I want it to fill out the hand. I want it to feel like I'm not going to drop it. I'm not going to lose it or let go. I want it to be comfortable in a number of different grips and very easy to manipulate, right? And I don't want a pocket clip sticking up into the middle of my palm, and this definitely does not do it. Speaking of ease of manipulation, it's not just in the stud, which are a little bit oversized, and that's on purpose. These are really, really easy to get a hold of. Super comfortable if you want to sit on the couch and just flip it over and over and over again, right? Or if you just want to ignore those studs and use the opening hole, same thing. Really, really easy. We have knocked down the inside of the hole here. Excuse my finger prints there. Very much knocked down, so super comfortable. But also, this is great. The way that they did this is so great. I always, say for a frame lock, we probably should cut this a little lower so you have really good access. I don't want people mashing their fingers in and trying to pinch it over. Kunwu did such a perfect job of this. We actually did not have to carve the frame lower. We kept these flush, but these areas in here are so beautifully knocked down. They are so comfortable and so smooth. It is the easiest release. I am so happy with that. Such an easy knife to manipulate. Has that perfect kind of really, really controlled glassy action that will just get better with time. The other thing that I really like about this that we were really trying to capture is the complete, I guess a very sterile show side. The back side, either way, the blade is sterile. It's as long as I have things my way, there's not going to be a bunch of crap on the blade. It's not going to say metal complex and Kunwu and, me and Sergio high-fiving or anything, but it's not going to be anything like that. We want to keep it clean, right? So if there is any billboarding or anything at all, it would be a simple, the pivot like this on one side and maybe my helmet logo on the other, not sure, but the blade, very clean. I love that the hardware that you see on this knife is simply the screw for the clip, the LBS, the pivot, and the lock bar insert. With this being an integral, obviously the only thing that you would need to remove if you ever wanted to really take it apart and clean it, it's just the pivot. Blade comes out. Outside of that, there are no body screws because they're not needed. It's a one-piece frame, and there's really no reason to take any of the other screws out, right? I mean, literally, there's no reason to take out the lock bar insert, the over travel, or the pocket clip screw, right? So the idea here with Vanax and titanium and stuff like this is to make the entire thing very friendly, right? Carry it. Yes, it's going to be expensive, but if you choose to carry it, the titanium, the Vanax, all that stuff is going to hold up, right? Go ahead, get it dirty. Vanax is, to put it lightly, it's pretty unlikely it's going to corrode. Vanax is essentially rust proof. I don't want to say absolutely, but extremely corrosion resistant. And it also has great properties, including great edge retention, great toughness, right? And it's not super difficult to touch up or sharpen. I made the edge, the belly, a nice, easy curvature, a nice continuous curvature so that people who want to actually use this and carry it, it won't be super intimidating to sharpen. It'll be really easy to maintain that nice, clean factory edge. All of those little things, right? I want these knives to look great. Like if you pick this up and you carry it for 10 years, the idea is it should still look great in 10 years. Now, this is a simple frame lock. And as I said on the live stream, this is not meant to like take out and baton with. This is no stronger than any other titanium frame lock that is on the market, right? So I'm not designing something that is supposed to be as tough as the Triad lock or the Super lock or the Demco Shark lock, anything like that. No, not at all. I want people to take this out and use it as a pocket knife, right? You'll be able to take this out and, process materials like wood and rubber and rope and whatever for extended periods of time. It should hold up for that, right? As long as you are puncturing and cutting things that are nowhere near as hard as the blade, it should work just fine. But we definitely did do a lot of testing with the frame lock, and if you're familiar with Kunwu, you know that they know how to make a good frame lock, so we have excellent lockup. I believe right around 50%. This one may be a little bit more. It's hard to tell exactly where that's engaging, right? But the geometry is good. We don't have like an aggressive slant or anything like that. It's absolutely solid, and there is no lock stick, no pivot lash. Really, really nice detent. We have a nice clicky detent that's really optimized for using a thumb stud or using the thumb hole. It really feels good. I feel like the balance of all those things you guys are really going to enjoy. We definitely did want to go a little bit bigger, but not too big. So I know some people are going to look at this and say, that's too big for me. You should make a smaller one, or that's not big enough. You should make an XL version. Maybe down the road. That would be really, really cool. As of right now, my plan, that was a lot of talking. I'm very excited about this, guys. As of right now, the things that I can tell you are more certain than not. The price point for these versions, the base version will be right around $400, right? Might be a little bit more. It will definitely be a little bit more for things like DLC, and it will be even more for things like the Timascus pocket clip, which I believe is not a standard option. I have to talk again with Sergio, but those are going to be the options. There is DLC and non-DLC, and then you can get a plain or a more dressy one. We are planning on making left-handed frame lock versions, which I know a lot of people will be happy. We are planning on doing an open pre-order that will be an extended period of time. And the reason for this is we don't want to make 100 of them and be like, everybody try to get them all at once. Good luck. Oh, you didn't get one. Sorry. Well, I don't want to do that. That's really annoying. So at some point I will announce, hey, the pre-order is going to be from this date to this date. And then everybody will have plenty of time to be ready, but that pre-order will be extended. And then however many orders we get, ideally, that's what we would make. This is, again, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work or when it's going to happen, but this is ideally what I want to do to make it as fair as possible for as many people as possible. Then again, ideally, we would have two versions of this, like two base versions. We would have this LMAX and titanium integral frame, Vanax and titanium integral frame, and then we would have a sandwich construction version of Excalibur with something like LMAX, maybe right around the $250 mark. Again, ideally, right and left-handed. This way, people could pick the knife up for nowhere near as much money, still get that full Excalibur experience, and actually have a little bit better balance because the weight won't be so heavily in favor of the back end here. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I don't know when that's going to be. I wanted you guys to have a look at this. I wanted to get you guys an opportunity to give me feedback and tell me what you think. But I think Kunwu did an amazing job. The reason that I wanted to work with Kunwu is, number one, they were willing to work with materials that I wanted to work with. They were willing to do an integral. I saw how well over the years that they've done with steel and heat treat and geometry. I watched their quality get better and better and better. It's amazing how much they've evolved. And I also knew that they would be fair with pricing because I told them, a lot of people are going to see this and go, Complex is selling his knife for $400. He's trying to cash in. There's nothing I can do about people thinking that. But those of you who know, what you're looking at here, you'll understand why, that $400 mark was so important to me, because that's the competition zone. That's where it's really hard to get something truly spectacular in terms of like a titanium contoured integral knife. It's really hard to get it to that point. So I knew that Kunwu was going to be the one to get it there. I know people are going to ask, why not a US OEM? Very simple. Number one, making exactly this knife in the USA, this would cost a ridiculous amount of money. Yes, there are companies out there making some pretty impressive integrals for, $400, $500, $600, $700. The DLC and the Vanax and the contoured titanium, I'm telling you exactly this, it would have cost substantially more. That would have made a lot of people upset. The much bigger reason is volume. The number of these that can be produced. With a US OEM, it's probably less than 10%. And some people aren't going to care, but this isn't, it's not a cash grab for me. What I'm trying to do here is put my vision together and put it into the hands of people who want it, right? So this isn't going to be for everybody. Not everybody's going to be happy with the price tag, but what I sought to do was create the ideal pocket knife for me, and then anybody else that wanted to share in that experience, I was going to make it available as I possibly could. So this is what we've got here. Will this knife change and evolve over time? Will you do a V2, a V3? I think absolutely. I think, we would do bigger and smaller ones too. Will I work on more designs in the future? Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. But that's probably a ways down the road, right? I want to get this one out, get it going. I think people are going to be super happy with it. I've really enjoyed carrying this guy over the last few days. It's put such a huge smile on my face. But, I'm kind of blind. I guess they call it like a rose-tinted glasses. This is my design, right? So of course I'm going to love it, but it needs to be in the hands of other people, other product reviewers, people who collect pocket knives, who go out and use. I want it, out there in the hands of other people. Get some feedback on it. I think that would be really, really cool, and it would be especially valuable physically in the hands of somebody. So I'll do my best to get one going around to other knife reviewers. But if you've stuck around to find out whether or not one of these is going to be given away for my 600K event, the answer is yes. This one, brand new, perfect, completely functional. I haven't carried or used this one at all. But this one, which is one of the very first V3 prototypes, will absolutely be given away to one lucky person during my 600K event, 500K/600K event. So when is that? You're actually going to get all of the details on that tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will reveal all of the prizes. I'll tell you exactly when it's going to be, exactly what you need to do and be prepared for, but it's going to be pretty awesome. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much to everybody who watches this channel and interacts with me. You guys all allowed me to do this. I said without the knife designers and knife makers, I wouldn't have been able to get this put together. But also, without the people watching my content and interacting with my content, it definitely would not have happened. So this is as much your project as it is mine, Project Excalibur, which, by the way, is 100% what it will be called all the way through production. Yeah, thank you so much for letting me realize this. I could not be happier. This just came out so well. For something that I told myself was not possible, nobody was going to be able to do it. It was never going to happen. It really felt risky to even try, but man, Kunwu delivered. I'm so excited about this. Yeah, so stay tuned for tomorrow. Thanks again. Hope you guys are excited. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is a rare video where you guys are actually seeing it the day that I'm uploading it, so I can't wait. I'm recording it in my time right now. I think it's about noon, and this goes up at 2 p.m., so I'm definitely going to be, heavy anticipation for the next couple hours. But anyways, thanks so much for watching today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.